Failure is a trickster with a keen sense of irony and cunning. It takes great delight in tripping one when success is almost within reach. In this episode, I want to share why you should just keep going. My name is Aaron Lenahan, and I've created over 100 podcast episodes in the past 2 years. However, even in creating those episodes and even through all of the growth that I've experienced over that time, I've just began to lose a little bit of motivation to just keep going. The podcast isn't yet to where I want it to be, and it just takes a lot of time and effort to commit every week to creating a podcast. However, last night I received a text from a good friend who texted me and said that he just started listening to my podcast. I was like, oh, cool. And he said, it's nice to hear you telling stories about your life. I'm enjoying tuning in to find out about what's going on. And it's also nice to hear about what you struggle with and then how you overcome it. And that really struck me because here I am having this internal battle of kind of doubting whether it's even worth my time and my effort to make the thing. But then I get these little affirmations from people reminding me about why I'm even doing this. And so in this episode, I just want to share a few points of why you should just keep going. If you've been doing something for a while, you've been working towards something for a while, you might be getting that feeling of it's been going for so long and I'm not really seeing the results. Should I keep going? Should I pivot? Should I shift gears? Should I be doing something differently? In this episode, that's what I want to talk about specifically. And the first point that I want to hit on is that what if success is just beyond where you would normally give up? And I've read this story from the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and I absolutely love it. It's called 3 Feet from Gold, and it talks about this guy named R.U. Darby and his uncle, where back in the gold rush days, they went to dig gold. And I just want to read you a part from this story so I don't butcher it because it's such a good story. He said, after a few weeks of labor, he was rewarded by the discovery of the shining ore. He needed machinery to bring the ore to the surface. Quietly, he covered up the mine, retraced his footsteps to his home in Williamsburg, Maryland, told his relatives and a few neighbors of the quote-unquote strike. They got together money for the needed machinery and had it shipped. The uncle and Darby went back to work the mine. The first car of ore was mined and shipped to a smelter. The returns proved they had one of the richest mines in Colorado. A few more cars of that ore would clear their debts, then would come the big killing in profits. Down went the drills, up went the hopes of Darby and uncle. Then something happened. The vein of gold ore disappeared. They had come to the end of the rainbow, and the pot of gold was no longer there. They drilled on, desperately trying to pick up the vein again, all to no avail. Finally, they decided to quit, and they sold the machinery to a junk man for a few $100s and took the train back home. The junk man called in a mining engineer to look at the mine and do a little calculating. The engineer advised that the project had failed because the owners were not familiar with fault lines. His calculations showed that the vein would be found just 3 feet from where the Darbys stopped drilling. This is exactly where it was found. The junk man took millions of dollars in ore from the mine because he knew enough to seek expert counsel before giving up. That's a crazy story, and it's a true story too. You can look it up, 3 Feet from Gold. It goes on to talk about how this Darby guy took that lesson later on into life, into selling life insurance, and began to make $1 million annually selling insurance because he said, I stopped 3 feet from gold, but I never stop because men say no when I ask them to buy insurance. And then he goes on to say that failure is a trickster with a keen sense of irony and cunning. It takes great delight in tripping one when success is almost within reach. So just consider that. What if gold, or metaphorically gold, but what if the success and the results that you want is just a few feet away? What if you're so close? What if the breakthrough or the thing that you've been working towards is just beyond where you would normally stop? And this goes for me, for my podcast. It's like I've already done all of this work, so it would just be stupid of me to give up now. The second point I want to nail down is progress over perfection. And it's just this idea of choosing to focus on progress and growth. And I once heard this quote, I think it was from a Mark Manson book, where he said that growth is what generates happiness, not a long list of arbitrary achievements. So it's like, how can we make the growth our primary focus? And this is a concept called infinite gains rather than finite gains. Infinite gains are things like business, marriage, working out. These things that there's no clear end goal. Like, you can't win them necessarily. Like, the goal in marriage isn't to win, it's to stay in the relationship, it's to stay married. Same with the goal in business. Like, yes, there's levels you can get to in business, but you can't win business. Like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, did they win business, or are they still just winning business? Like, the goal is to stay in business. Same with fitness. You can't win it, but you can stay in shape and you can stay fit. So when we choose these types of games, these infinite games, these things that we can continually improve upon, what if we just focused on that? What if that was it and we just focused on the journey rather than being perfect and like what the results are going to look like, and if they're not exactly how we kind of painted them out to be? What if we just focused on that? Progress over perfection. Instead of measuring the value of your work by the external results and the things that you get from it, what if you measured it by the person that you're becoming in the journey towards the results? It's like, I feel like you can still have the end result in mind, like the goal in mind of where you're going, to kind of keep you on track, like your North Star, but it's not putting your happiness and fulfillment in that. But if you can generate your happiness and fulfillment from the journey to get there, what kind of shift would that do for you listening? How much differently do you think you'd show up when hardship arises? Like when the inevitable slap in the face that life gives you, when that happens, how much differently would you view it if you're not focused on only getting to there, rather just being here? The third point that I want to hit on is just remembering your why. Like, why are you doing this? I feel like this is such a crucial but overlooked question for any kind of thing that we're actively pursuing in life. Whether it is a fit body, whether it is a relationship or a business or creating a podcast, whatever the thing is, like learning guitar, any of those things. I feel like if you don't have a clear reason why you are doing it, then the moment that hardship comes up, the moment that you feel like you're kind of like plateauing and it's like you feel like you can't get any further, if you don't have your why, then that's going to be so hard to keep going, because then you're just strictly going off of motivation. And it's like, we all know that motivation isn't sufficient for long-term success because motivation fades. But remembering your why, remembering your purpose, why are you doing the thing in the first place? And that is exactly what really hit home when my friend texted me about my podcast. Was like, oh my God, I feel like I forgot my why for a bit. Like, I forgot why I was even doing the podcast, which is what made it kind of feel like a grind and kind of feel tough. But when I can sit back and I can remember, okay, the reason why I'm making podcasts is to put out value in the world, to support someone else. I can make one podcast episode that could completely change the direction of somebody's life. That's why I'm doing it. But when I forget that and I make it all about me and the time that I'm putting into it and what I could be doing in that time, especially now it's summertime, it's beautiful outside. It's very hard to keep going if you don't remember your why. So in summary, sometimes success is just beyond the point of where most people would give up. Number 2 is progress over perfection. And number 3 is just remembering your why. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you got a ton of value out of it. If you did, share it with someone who might need to hear it. As always, get out there and be your own hero. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.